Hello, everyone. Welcome to Healing from Toxic, or welcome back if you're a subscriber. Tonight, as you can see, I didn't do any glam. I'm tired. I'm just not in the mood to put any makeup on, to do videos as I typically do. So, this is what you get. I'm in bed and I'm comfortable. It is what it is. So, tonight's video is titled, Why Are Breakups with Narcs So Difficult? As most of you already know, when you started a relationship with a narcissist in the very beginning, everything was good, right? And then somewhere in the middle, when the devalue stage started, the confusion began. Along with that confusion, your anxiety began. Along with that anxiety, your fear of losing your partner began. So for most of the relationship, you're confused, you're anxious, you're fearful. A lot of you probably ended up being depressed or just being emotionally wrecked. Not totally devastated, but when you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you're in bad shape because you cannot figure these people out. So you're just full of questions and they will never answer them, of course. So getting back to why these breakups are so difficult is because once they discard you or you discard them, however it goes, you're still left with a world of confusion. You're still left with all of these questions. You're still left wrecked, even more so because now, if this narc discarded you, you are also dealing with their rejection. You're also dealing with that deep need of them to validate you, which they also created during the relationship. So there's a lot of trauma that occurred without you even realizing. You don't realize how deeply wounded you are until the relationship is over. And this is because in regular relationships, even if they cheat on you, even if they weren't the perfect person, they didn't try to destroy you in the way that the narcissist did. They didn't try to gaslight you and manipulate you in the way that a narcissist does. So when you break up with a narcissist or they break up with you, when the relationship is over, you feel a way bigger sense of betrayal because you're like, wow. Once you start reading about narcissism, once you start getting educated on what transpired during that relationship, you get this huge sense of betrayal. And then shame for not realizing sooner, guilt for not leaving sooner. You get even embarrassed. You have feelings of embarrassment when you share what happened with others because you feel like you were dumb, like you were stupid for not knowing what was going on. So there's a lot of different layers that we have to unwrap as we heal. And of course, right after the breakup, we are just trying to figure out what happened. How did I not realize what was happening when it was happening? Because it's almost unbelievable the way that we were manipulated and fooled and toyed with and played with. Anger is another thing that comes up. A lot of us, are really angry. Not only angry at the narcissist, but we're really angry at ourselves too. And then when we tell people who don't understand it, when we share our experience, our pain, our shame, our feelings, a lot of people don't get it. So a lot of people will say things like, oh my God, that person must have really hurt you. That person must have really left an imprint on your heart. You really must have loved that person. And here's the thing, it's not about love. They don't understand that. It's not really about love. You're not mourning your love for them. What hurts is the fact that these people played with your mind, that these people fooled you to a point where you lost yourself. A lot of people lose themselves. A lot of people just totally lose sense of reality when they're with these people. When you spend 10, 15, 20 years, and then you look back and you're like, wow, I spent so much time on this person. I gave so much to this person and they were playing me. It's a deep sense of betrayal. So getting over them is not even the real problem. The real problem is coming to terms with everything that took place in that relationship. A lot of people don't understand that when you're healing from narcissistic abuse, it's not about trying to forget them or trying to kill the love that you have. It's about rebuilding yourself, learning about setting boundaries with people, learning all of the things that you didn't know about yourself prior to being with this person, the things that you lacked, which in most cases was being, I'm sorry, I had to turn this off so I won't get distracted. In most cases, we didn't trust our intuition. That for me was the biggest lesson, was to never ever ignore my intuition. But if you were raised in a family of narcs, this is very difficult because if you were raised among narcs, if you were raised by at least one narc parent, you were taught not to trust your intuition because you have been gaslighted your entire life. So this is even more difficult for people who were born into narcissistic families. You've never trusted your intuition. You were always taught that you don't know what you're talking about. You're too sensitive. You're too dramatic. You're over exaggerating. So you've already learned how not to trust yourself, which is something that I dealt with. And the only reason why I didn't stay longer with my narcissistic ex is because I was already pulling myself away from my narcissistic family. I was already in the beginning stages of my healing process with those people. Not had been had I not been in that situation where I removed myself from my family already, I probably would have stayed longer in that relationship. But by the time that I found this narc, I was already beginning to trust myself, to empower myself, to love myself. My healing process had already started. That's the only reason why I didn't give more of my time to that narc. And I'm so grateful for that because these people have the ability to totally destroy your self esteem, to totally destroy you, your life. So for those of you who only spent 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you have the opportunity to start fresh, to start new. Compared to those who, spent most of their lives with a narc. That really hurts. That's even more difficult. That's not to say that you can't start over, because it's never too late. You can always start over. But for those of you who had a shorter experience, I think the healing is easier. So the reason why these relationships are so much more difficult to get over is because there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of guilt, there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of, aftermath. It's just a lot that goes on during the relationship and after the fact. That's why it's so difficult. Because oftentimes you want to get closure, which you should never look for closure because they're never going to give it to you. But you're left with this hole, right? Because you're looking for answers, and they're not going to give you closure. Narcs are never going to give you closure. You have to give yourself that closure. And you fill it up by learning, by educating yourself, and by loving yourself. Your closure is that these people never loved you, never cared for you, and everything they showed you, every instant, every moment, every action that you thought was love was fake. It was not real. So that's your closure. I think I'm going to do a video on that. Anyhow, that was my video for tonight. Just wanted to put that out there because I know a lot of people question themselves as to, why can't I just get over this person like I did my exes? If they weren't narcissists, they didn't give you the amount of trauma that this narc did. They didn't try to destroy you. Narcs try to destroy you. So they hurt you in ways that healthy human beings don't. Okay? So that was my video for today. I hope it was helpful. I love you guys. Take care. Guard your heart and protect your energy. All right. Good night. Bye-bye.